One way of thinking of our virtue today, loyalty, is to put someone or something ahead of yourself. Janine Hedberg is here with us.
Bless you, Reverend Diane. Can I go all the way up? Oh, thank you. Then I can put my notes down. We all know what loyalty is. We're loyal to our favorite restaurant. We're loyal to our favorite church. We're loyal to our favorite political party. Maybe we're even loyal to our favorite chocolate bar. But I have to say, in my life, I learned about loyalty first from my mother. You know, she was there every moment. She took care of me as a baby. 100% of her energy, I was the firstborn, went to me. And that's where I learned about loyalty. And it really reminds me of the story of the 4-year-old boy. And his mom and dad had just brought home a new baby sister from the hospital. And mom put the baby to sleep in the bassinet and closed the door. And the little 4-year-old snuck in and touched the baby's arm and said, "Baby, baby, wake up. Tell me about God. I'm beginning to forget." And I have to say, in my own life, I have forgotten. And I think that loyalty is really much more than what we say it is. Loyalty is a God quality. Who or what else in our lives can we say is there in every moment of every day, 100% present for us, supporting us in everything we do? I can say my mom, but we know that it's God. And what I'm asking today is that we just change a bit. I don't know how many of you did the Mark Nepo book, our Lenten study, but Mark Nepo said that after we often have to rehearse the truth until we find the courage to live it. And I'm just asking us all to step into that truth of who and what should have our loyalty. Bless you all. Thank you.
Yeah, the word loyalty brings to mind a powerful sense of belonging, doesn't it? It's unswerving devotion and duty that comes up when we think of loyalty and allegiance to someone or something beyond ourselves. And when we look at it in the Bible, it's purely relational. It's not just one way, though. It's very clear. We've been given in the first of the 2 commandments that there is an instruction for us to, with our entire being, with our whole being, and actually we looked at this last week. It makes sense because it's the first commandment that comes back all the time, that with our whole being we be thoroughly committed to the divine in our lives and to the human realm as well. It's given to us in this way: put spirit first. Love the Lord your God. And we said this last week, and say it with me again, it never gets old. With all your heart and all your mind and all your soul and all your strength. And the second commandment is like unto it. And love your neighbor as yourself. So there's God, there's neighbor, and there's self. And it seems to start very much right here by putting God first and keeping God in that place. There are covenants throughout the Bible. God's covenants with mankind, with humankind, are unilateral. There is always the promise that these covenants will be fulfilled, that you actually have everything you could possibly ever need. And it's also very clear that what's required is there's a necessity for us to keep our consciousness of the kingdom first and foremost in our lives, even if it's uncomfortable, even when it's uncomfortable, if it's inconvenient. At times it feels as if we lay down our lives because we leave everything that we've known. To step into a new place, it can feel very conflicting. God always, always provides. This is a joke. Sam, walks into his boss's office, and he says, I just need to tell you what's going on. I've been here for years and years. You and I have been together. We've been through thick and thin. You know me to be a loyal employee. And I want you to know I have 3 companies coming after me. And what I want from you is I want you to consider giving me a raise so I can stay. The boss looks at him, thinks for really just a minute. Smile comes across his face, and he says, all right, I'll give you a 5% raise. Sam goes, yes. And he gets up to walk out, and the boss said, wait a minute. Can you just tell me, I'm just curious, what are the 3 companies that are coming after you? Sam said, the electric company, the phone company, and the gas company. And he smiled all the way out of the room. But we think there is no way, there is always a way. And the people who persevere, because a lot of people come in very talented, early on, just have these magnificent gifts and use them early on and then let them go. And then there are those who come in and later on they find out they have a talent and they really work to develop it. And it is the person, that part of us that perseveres, that looks beyond the limitations or the timing or the temporary situation, that actually remembers there's a power within them that will take them to the next level. And they are willing, we are willing, when we stay loyal to that thought, loyal to what it is that we want in our lives, to shine the light of the living Christ, of our Buddha nature, of that divinity within us into even the darkest places. And what happens is there's always a breakthrough. We always get raised up. And it's because loyalty is a generosity of mind. It is a generous state of mind, loyalty. With loyalty, we're able to keep going. We're able to keep knowing. We're able to keep trusting, to keep believing, to keep praying, to keep having faith. Even if our world has turned upside down, if our relationships, if people have left the planet, if we have left relationships, we keep on with loyalty, loving and forgiving and being understanding. Because we know we live in God's grace. It's not easy. It can feel like your whole world is falling apart, and like you and I have been unloyal. Now that's getting loyalty mixed up. What loyalty really is, ultimately, is a way that you and I find out who and what we actually are. And we find that out most often when our loyalty is questioned. Isn't that true? When it's put to the test. The philosophers we know about Socratic questions, the philosophers Socrates and Plato and Aristotle, were all about virtues. And they wanted to help us question ourselves, where we really are, what we really want. And the quintessential question about loyalty is, can you actually be the person your dog thinks you are? Isn't it true? Can you actually live up to it? Because your dog, whether you have a dog or not, you've witnessed this with owners of dogs. Cats, not so much. I've had cats. Fish, not so much. They wouldn't even come when I tapped the glass. My bird had great loyalty to me, an Amazon parrot this big, but whoa, he was only loyal to me and nobody else, right? It's kind of mean streak to others. Your dog thinks the world of you, will actually do anything possible to help you move through a situation. If you're grieving, your dog will come and sit by your side, put his or her head on your lap. If you need the paper and you've trained the dog will go and get that paper and bring it to you. Your dog will do anything and everything possible. Because a dog is made to adore us. Anyway, if we saw ourselves, and I love that you sang that song, the eyes in his eyes, it was perfect. Because if we saw ourselves through our dog's eyes, if we saw others through the way our dogs see them, and this is what the dogs do, you know what our dogs do with them if they haven't met them yet? They just want to get their essence. They just want to sniff of them. And if you're willing to put your hand out and show them the palm, which is the kingdom is at hand, they go, oh, kingdom consciousness, you're okay, come on in, right? But if you go, ooh, and you start to feel afraid and you back off, the dog may kind of wonder about what you're really up to. If we saw ourselves through dog's eyes, it'd be like looking through the eyes of God. My youngest son has a dog that his name is Pilot, which we had no idea when we got him would be so incredibly apropos. We met Pilot the day before my two sons and I left for Europe for a few weeks. And he was a street dog. A friend of ours found him on the street. He was like a fountain. Every aperture was letting go. And he was a mess. He was the cutest little mess. A Heinz 57 street dog. And so we met him at a girlfriend's house, and we asked Meg if she would watch Pilot for the weeks that we were in Europe, and she did, and she took him to the vets, and she had some of his initial things done, the worms and the parasites and the things that needed to be done, and started feeding him. And when we got home, Garen had another week before he flew back to be with San Francisco Ballet. So he had, by the way, bought a first-class ticket, was the only one that he could get in this particular configuration of time. Thank you, God, because his first-class ticket meant that he could put Pilot in a carrier and put him underneath the seat and take him with him. Pilot has lived in San Francisco. He lived in New York. He moved to L.A. Then he moved to Holland when my son danced there. Then he moved back to New York. Pilot now lives in New York. He's truly a pilot. He's one that dynamically steers, and he represents such cool things in us. Loyalty. So Garen, I'm sure, explained to Pilot that he was going to go to L.A. for something. He had a show to do. He was going to go to L.A. He was going to leave him in Holland, which was a brand new country to Pilot, with a brand new dog walker. Dog walkers, you know, who take a group of dogs out onto the beach. And so he was used to going to the beach in San Francisco. But no, now he was picked up every day, several times a day, taken to the beach. And along the shore of Netherlands is where he was playing with other dogs, when all of a sudden he must have remembered Garen, because he just took off running. He took off running at such a speed and pace that the dog walker couldn't do a thing about it. And she watched as he went out of sight completely. She knew what direction he headed. She got on the telephone on her cell phone and started texting dog walkers along the way, because they actually are an organized group of people who watch out for the good of, they have a loyalty to their dogs. And Pilot made it a half marathon away. He ran literally just over 13 miles along the sea. And he was found by a male dog walker 13 miles away, attempting to eat a crab on the beach. They didn't call Garen to tell him that he was missing. They waited. They all waited, looking, holding a vigilance to find this dog, and they did. That kind of perseverance that both that Pilot demonstrated, but also that the human beings demonstrated, in being willing to continue to look for the good, to look for what's coming. It's coming in unexpected ways, at speeds we cannot understand. But God is fully active. And our relationship with the divine is to be steadfast. But there's a beautiful story, and it's used often, interestingly enough, this quote, in weddings. It's been, and now it's going to be able to be used in weddings between men and men, and women and women. This is so cool, but it's been used in heterosexual weddings for a long time, and it's actually spoken between two women. It's a story of loyalty that is the story of Ruth and Naomi. It's just the quintessential story of being steadfast one to the other, and it's not about our genders. Today we call this caregiving. And how many of us are now being called, or have been called, to caregive those who have given care for us? Ruth is the embodiment of loyalty, and she demonstrates it with her mother-in-law, Naomi. Naomi's husband had died. She had two sons, and her two sons had married. Orpah and Ruth were the two wives, her daughters-in-law, and the two sons passed as well. In those days, if your husband died and your sons died, you essentially had no value whatsoever. So Naomi wanted to return home. Home was Jerusalem, the city of inner peace. And so she said to Orpah and Ruth, I love you guys so much. Thank you for being with me all these years. You've been with me. And you've been loyal. But I want you to go to your hometowns. I want you to go to your families where you've known people all your life. Orpah said she would, and she did. Ruth said this to Naomi. Don't urge me to leave you or turn back from you. Where you go, I will go. And where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. As human beings, our circumstances change, and of course, our loyalties change as well. And yet, the virtue of loyalty is about a capacity that you have within you that cannot be diminished by circumstance at all. It's a quality of caring that is priceless. And it helps us all grow in relationship with one another. One of the readings I often use in weddings, it reflects how we all grow. It's not a one-way deal. I love you, not only for what you are, but for what I am when I'm with you. I love you not only for what you've made of yourself, but for what you are making of me. I love you for the part of me that you bring out. I love you for putting your hand into my heaped up heart and passing over all the frivolous and weak things that you cannot help but see there. And drawing up into the light all the beautiful, radiant things that no one else has looked quite far enough to find. I love you for ignoring the possibilities of the fool in me and for laying firm hold of the possibilities of good in me. I love you for closing your eyes to the discords in me and adding to the music in me by worshipful living. That's love for love's sake. Loyalty has this aspect to it where there is no expectation. We love, expecting nothing in return. There's a beautiful story, and I heard it as an Irish story, so I'll share it with you in that way. 8-year-old Sarah was a wee bit of a thing. Well, she had a smaller brother, her brother Sam. And Sam was only 6 years old, but they totally adored one another. Sarah, for some reason, became critically ill. She was actually dying. It wasn't quite understood why, but there was the thought in the hospital that if they could change out all the blood in Sarah's body, that she'd be fine. And they would transfuse it, you know. So the parents wondered if Sam had the same blood. They weren't compatible for some reason. So they asked Sam. They said, Sam, Sarah needs to have blood, new blood, fresh blood in her body. Sam, would you be willing for us to check to see if your blood would be compatible, that we could give it to Sarah? And he thought about it for a minute. Actually, he thought a while. And he said, in a whisper, yes. So the day came when they put Sam and Sarah in the same room, tubes between them. And Sam looked at his parents and he said to him, will it hurt at all when I start to die? Oh, Sam, they said, your blood's going to be fine as well. You'll be living as well. Sarah, she's going to come back to us. Oh, Sam, you needn't think you're going to die just because you love your sister so much. Authentic relationships are tried and true. We literally lay ourselves down sometimes for the life of another. Our parents did so for us, the grandparents before that. Eventually, we all walk through the valley of the shadow of death, and there's never anything to fear. Because God is with us every breath of the way. To that, we can be loyal. This quote says, "A true friend loves you enough to support you and to confront you." And so I share with you a reading that, just a part of it, it's called The Invitation. It doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for. And if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing. It doesn't interest me how old you are. I want to know if you'll risk looking like a fool for love, for your dream, for the adventure of being alive. I want to know if you can sit with pain, mine or your own, without moving to hide it or fade it or fix it. I want to know if you can see beauty, even when it's not pretty, every day. And if you can source your own life from its presence. I want to know if you can live with failure, yours and mine, and still stand at the edge of the lake and shout to the sliver of the full moon, yes. It doesn't interest me where or what or with whom you've studied. I want to know what sustains you from the inside. When all else fails, I want to know if you can be alone with yourself and if you truly like the company that you keep in the empty moments. What will you and I be loyal to? I would just say to you today, as you consider it this week, that our search for right relationship, our search for a soulmate, is actually the search to find, to accept, and to prioritize ourselves and each of our relationships in such a way that we stay loyal to that in which we live and love and have our being. We hold to the connection that we have with the divine no matter what. And as you shift in and out of relationships in human form, and you will, they change. We come and we go. As you do that, you will have a loyalty to that sustainable energy within you that will bring you through. Love will see you through everything and anything you experience in this lifetime. Bless you. Thank you, God, for our loyalty.